clues are clues that readers use to find out the meaning of unknown words or phrases within a passage, a story, or a text. Let's look together at some of these steps that growing readers use when they're trying to use context clues. Step 1. Read the sentence and underline the unknown word. I'm going to circle step 1. And I'm also going to underline, read the sentence. It is very important that we read to find those context clues. So step 1, first we're going to read the sentence and underline the unknown word. Step 2, think about what is happening in the sentence. It's important that we think about what is actually happening as we're reading. What's happening in the story? Step 3, find other words that might or may explain the meaning of the unknown word. I see something important.
Other words.
It might be a sentence before, in the sentence, or the sentence after. So I'm noticing step 3 tells me sometimes my context clues might be found around the word I do not know. It might be inside the word. It might be before, or it might be after. But authors give us clues to help us figure out what we do not know. And it is our job as the reader to figure out what those words mean. Step 4, try different words in the place of the unknown word to see if the sentence makes sense. I like to call this the plug it in strategy. So step 4 tells me I need to plug in words that I might know that's in my filing cabinet in my brain called schema. Because I need to try to activate what I know and add it to the passage. That's what helps us figure out those words we cannot figure out unless we activate it. We pull from our filing cabinet and we use those clues together. So I'm noticing I have 4 different steps. I'm going to read the sentence. I'm going to think about what is happening. I'm going to find other words in the word or around the word that might help me. Those are called context clues. And then I'm going to try to plug in a different word that might mean the same. We call that a synonym. Another word that means exactly the same. I'm noticing at the very top it says stuck on a word. Use your word strategies to help you unstick a word's meaning. Let's look at these different clues that growing readers look for when they're trying to figure out a word or phrase they do not know. The first clue is a definition clue. I'm noticing your notes say, the word's meaning is explained in the sentence. Sometimes it even comes after commas. So sometimes an author will even tell you in the sentence what a word means by giving you the definition. Look at the second one, example clues. An example of the word is given following the sentence or within the sentence. So sometimes an author will say, here's a word you don't know, but here's an example of it to help you figure it out. That's another kind of clue. Look at the third one, and this is probably the most common. Inferencing clues. A word's definition is not explained. You need to look for clues before or after the sentence. This is the one that most fourth graders have a difficult time with, but it is also the one that's the most common. So we're going to be inferencing experts. Synonym clues are sometimes given. This is when an author gives you another word that means the same in the sentence around that difficult word. And then an antonym clue is often given. This is when the author tells you the opposite. It's probably not as common as the others. And then this is one of my favorites. Sometimes an author will give you a clue inside the word. We call that a word part. I'm going to say that again. When you have a clue inside a word, we call that a word part. Whoa. I'm going to say it a little bit differently, and as I say it, I'm going to highlight some things in your notes. Prefixes, suffixes, and root words can help you figure out sticky words you do not know. And we're going to practice that strategy today, looking inside of a word to use those prefixes, root words, and suffixes to help us. That's what growing readers do. Let's start by looking at the word memorial. Memorial. I'm going to go back to the text because of Winn-Dixie, and I'm going to look inside that text. I'm noticing that the very first highlighted word is that word memorial. Ooh. Now today we have learned that growing readers use context clues to figure out words that are hard or challenging. Context clues are clues around or inside that word you're trying to figure out. So I'm going to start by reading this sentence. I spent a lot of time that summer at the Herman W. Block Memorial Library. The Herman W. Block Memorial Library sounds like it would be a big fancy place, but it's not. Okay, so I've read the sentence, and now I'm going to look for clues around the word I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking for clues around memorial, and I'm noticing right in front of that word, I see a person's name, Herman W. Block. That's a clue. Because it is a person, I'm just going to draw a little stick person to remind myself of that clue. Now I'm going to look after that word, memorial, and I see another clue, library. This will also help me. Since a library is a building, I'm going to draw a little house to help me remember library. So I've looked in front of the word, and I have looked after the word. Now I am going to look inside the word. Inside the word. I'm noticing inside the word memorial, I hear another word that sounds like something else I already know. Memorial sounds like the word memory. Listen again. Memory, memorial. Those two things sound similar. So I'm going to write the word memory to show you how I know that. This part of the word looks exactly like this part of memorial that we're trying to figure out. These are called word parts. I'm thinking about memory, and I'm thinking it's what I know, it's what I remember. This is going to help me figure out what memorial means. So now I'm noticing Herman W. Block Memory or Memorial Library. Whoa! So this library was named after a person named Herman W. Block in memory of that person. I'm going to say that again. Memorials are in memory of someone. And that's why the word memorial sounds like memory. So look at how the clue inside and around the word helps us to figure out memorial means in memory or when we remember another person. Okay, so now let's go to our graphic organizer. I'm noticing the sentence from the text. I spent a lot of time that summer at the Herman W. Block Memorial Library. So I'm thinking about the word parts, the prefixes, the root word, and the suffix. And we already underlined it and discovered memory. We also underlined some other clues. I'm noticing we underlined in the text Herman W. Block. I'm just going to write Herman in my graphic organizer. And library was a second clue. We also created another word that means the same as memorial. We use the word remember. And now we know that memorial means in memory of someone or to remember someone. People create memorials so that every time you see that, you remember that person. So every time someone saw the Herman W. Block Memorial Library, they would think of Herman, the man that it was named after. Notice how those context clues around the word helped us to figure out the meaning of that word. Now let's look at the word selecting. We are also going to use context clues to see if we can figure out the meaning of this word selecting. I'm going to begin by going back to the text. I'm looking for the word selecting. I'm noticing it here, highlighted in yellow. Let's read it. It all started with Winn-Dixie not liking it when I went into the library because he couldn't go inside too. But I showed him how he could stand up on his hind legs and look in the window and see me in there, selecting my books. And he was okay as long as he could see me. I'm going to pause there and go back to those context clues. I'm noticing right in front of the word selecting, I'm noticing it says selecting my books. I think my books is a clue. Doing something to my books. And I'm thinking about times that I've been to the library. I always check out or get a book or choose a book. So I'm going to activate what my experiences are. We call that our schema. So now let's look inside the word. Selecting. There is a root word and it is the word select. Ooh. Select. Another word I know is the word choose or pick out. So now I'm going to go to that graphic organizer and see how it can help me organize my ideas. I'm thinking about that word part that we already discussed. Select. I'm thinking about those other clues around that we underlined. My books. I'm thinking about a word that means the same to choose or pick out. And that will lead me to what it means.
To pick.
I'm going to use to choose as my meaning. So now I'm going to plug it into the original sentence. But I showed him how he could stand up on his hind legs and look in the window and see me in there choosing my books. It makes sense. So the definition or the meaning of the word selecting is to choose or choosing. The word positive. Let's look at it. Miss Franny Block, I said, that's not a bear, that's a dog. That's my dog, Winn-Dixie. Are you positive? She asked. Yes, ma'am, I told her. I'm positive. He's my dog. I would know him anywhere. Miss Franny sat there, trembling and shaking. Let's see what we discover about the word positive. When I look for other clues, I'm noticing yes, ma'am is a context clue. And then she restates it. So now I know there were no word parts. I'm going to put an X there since there are no word parts in the word positive. My other clues. Here's a clue. She asked. This is leading me. And now let's go back to the text and see what other clues there are. She says, yes, ma'am. I'm positive. These are clues to help me figure out the meaning of that word.
I wrote yes, ma'am, but I erased it.
And then I'm also noticing another word that I could plug in that means the same as positive that we've all heard is the word sure. So I'm going to write that as my synonym. Are you sure? She asked. Notice I can plug that in for the word positive. The word positive does mean sure. And maybe another word you've heard is certain. Are you certain? Those are synonyms. They mean the same. So now we know the word positive means sure or certain, and we know that because of the context clues around the word.